So Christmas, it's almost Christmas. It's almost Christmas Sunday. Christmas is a season of love and of joy and of giving. And giving and receiving Christmas presents is a really good and fun thing. But material things do not bring us lasting fulfillment and joy. Getting often leaves us wanting more. And that comes from sort of an outside-in kind of consciousness. True joy and fulfillment is an inside-out kind of consciousness. And it comes through the realization of our true nature, our Christ nature. True joy and fulfillment is not about getting presents. It's about realizing the presence that lives within us. It's about pouring forth that Christ nature as generosity and peace and joy and love. That's the inside-out Christmas present. In the material world, fulfillment comes through efforting and getting. It's a do, have, be kind of situation. But in the spiritual world, fulfillment comes through being and sharing. It's a be, do, have kind of thing. Sorry, Frank, it's not doobie-doobie-doo. It's be, do, have. We should do a song like that. The wisdom teachings of the Kabbalah instruct us that the only way for us to achieve fulfillment is by achieving oneness with the Creator, the source of joy and fulfillment. Some years back, I talked with some kids that were in my congregation at the time, and I asked them about joy, and I want to share with you what I learned from them. They said, joy is something you feel inside. It warms and lights you up like a glowworm or a lightning bug. I like that imagery. I like that. It's like you have a candle lit up inside you that God put there to always remind you that God fills you up inside with joy and love. The wisdom of children. We used to be that wise. And if you would like to retrieve some of your wisdom, go spend time with the kids. I guarantee it'll happen. Be mindful. The kids are teaching us, be mindful that joy and happiness is not based on material things. The gifts of jewelry that we get may break, and the game pieces may get lost, and the golf clubs might rust, if you're old school like me and you don't have graphite clubs, that is. All those things are transitory. Only giving the gift of our love and our presence will endure forever. And activating our divine presence is the greatest gift that we can give to ourselves and to all of humanity. And I believe that the Christ presence in us is joy and love waiting to be released and shared with all the world. And so I invite you to start doing that if you haven't already, and I'm sure you have. So Christmas truly is the season of birthing the Christ in us, of giving of our presence. It's a time to focus on the presence of Spirit rather than on focusing on opening presence. It's a time to open to the Christ presence in ourselves and to recognize it in others. And it's a time to be fully present to the gift of our presence that lasts beyond tearing open the presents. Now, you got all those presents straight? Put your name on the one that ends in CE. So let's begin putting the Christ back in Christmas. Reverend Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, wrote, "Christ means the manifestation of God in us as us. Hence, this Christ is right within us and needs but to be recognized and unified with. Christ is a universal idea, and each one puts on the Christ to the degree that he surrenders a limited sense of life to the divine realization of wholeness and unity with good, with spirit, with God." I believe that Jesus, the Christ, profoundly impacted human history. We've been talking about it for a long time. Not too many people have that kind of lasting power. Jesus is respected by many of the other world religions, although interpreted somewhat differently. Jesus preached a liberating message of radical inclusion of the very people that many have condemned and excluded. And Jesus demonstrated an enlightened consciousness expressed as universal and unconditional love. The Christmas story is our story. Jesus' journey is our journey from the human experience to Christ consciousness. And so I offer you this morning my metaphysical interpretation of the Christmas story, beyond the literal story that we may have grown up with. Take what has meaning for you and then leave the rest. In the end, only you know what has meaning and relevance for you, and you can only know that from deep within your own being. I believe that the Christmas characters, all the Christmas characters in the story, represent all the various aspects of us. So in other words, we are all of the characters in the Christmas story. And as we unwrap those aspects of self, it reveals and awakens our own Christ presence. So all of the characters help us to build and reveal that Christ presence within us. So we start with Mary, who represents the feminine soul qualities of receptivity, affection, emotion, nurturance, or love. Joseph represents masculine aspects of strength and intellect and understanding, or wisdom. These qualities that Joseph expresses companion and nurture the love that Mary is. And the union of Mary and Joseph symbolizes the love and the compassion that nurtures the birth of the Christ child presence. The union of love and wisdom. And may we also nurture that divine being within ourselves and within others so that we create and reveal that awareness of communion, of unity, of oneness, of wholeness, of we are one. The angels joyously announce the birth of the divine. They are the messengers of God, and they represent our highest thoughts and conscious awareness. Angels, highest thoughts. And don't we feel great joy anytime we awaken to a greater, higher consciousness? Isn't that a joyful experience for us? That is the angels announcing the birth within us. The shepherds respond to the angels' joyous announcement with receptivity, acceptance, and joy. And I love this about the shepherds. They drop what they're doing, they leave their work behind, and they go to find and seek the Christ. And I believe that's what we are called to do. Leave the material things, take pause from that, pause from work, pause from all the frenzy of the Christmas shopping. What do we have now? We've got something on Friday, and we've got small business Saturday, and we've got Cyber Monday, and we've got, it's Black Friday. That's why I forgot it. It's Black Friday. What a terrible thing to say. So we've got all this frenzy, but we're called to pause and leave that behind, just as the shepherds did, and to pursue the Christ presence in our own lives. Let us not forget that. And the star leads the wise men safely to the Christ child, and the star represents wisdom and intuition and divine guidance. And so may we also attend to our inner wisdom and follow the guidance to the birth of the Christ within us to assure our own spiritual fulfillment. The three wise men represent creative intelligence and divine right action. They use their knowledge and divine guidance in order to fulfill their quest to find the Christ child. And may we also attune to that divine guidance so that our actions are in divine order. The three wise men, you will remember, now we're getting to the good part now. The three wise men brought precious gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Those symbolize humanity's abundance in spirit, which go far beyond material riches. And so may we appreciate our own great wealth and abundance in spirit. Let us remember that. And even the donkey and the ox and the lamb have symbolic meaning. Donkey represents stubborn human consciousness. I know none of you have that. No donkeys in this room. Stubborn human consciousness that sometimes makes slow progress towards spiritual awakening. But eventually we get there. The ox represents physical man and his material world. And the lamb represents our spiritual nature at the center of our being. And Jesus the Christ was known also as the Lamb of God. And so the animals altogether represent our gradual awakening of consciousness, realizing that we are both human and divine, and that becoming fully human ultimately gives way to the divine within us, just as Jesus, the Son of Man, evolves into the Christ, the Son of God. We are each and all a child of God, each and all. And again, Meister Eckhart said, God is forever begetting the only begotten in each one of us, in each of us, in all of us, in the one of us, for there is only one. The Christ child, the central focus of our celebration, represents the union of love, Mary, and Joseph, wisdom, the heart and the head becoming one, the integration of spirit within humanity. Let us be mindful of our own spiritual center. Here we are at a center for spiritual living, but let us become centers of spiritual living. Let us be mindful of that, of our Christ presence, and attune our human experience to Emmanuel, God with us and within us. Jesus the Christ was the great example, not the great exception. The great suggestion of all that is possible for each one of us, not the great Savior. He came to show us the way. He came that we might have life and have it more abundantly. And his Spirit is a pathway for liberating our own spirit so that we might express our highest and best in all circumstances. Jesus the Christ expresses the oneness of the human and the divine, an integration of Jesus, the Son of Man, and the Christ, the Son of God. The Messiah, the anointed one, the enlightened one, the light. And Jesus said, I am the light of the world. And then he looked out and said, ye are the light of the world. Ye are the light of the world. The Christ is a principle of awakened consciousness, not a person or a personality. It is the light in all persons, expressing spirit on earth as awakening to truth, as living from that Christ consciousness, that God-realized consciousness. Jesus himself said, you shall do these things I do and greater still. The kingdom of heaven is at hand, and it is within you now. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. It is within you now. And for that reason, you too shall do these things I do and greater still. And indeed we have, and we continue to. So listen to your inner voice, to that still, small voice within. I have to tell you a funny story about the still, small voice within, lest some of you make the same error I did. You know, I did a lot of spiritual work. And I thought, why is the voice still small? And then finally somebody said, knock, knock. It's the still, as in calm, small voice. Oh, wow, okay, all right. It's not still small. All right. Remind me to tell you a Halloween story, too, where I got it wrong. So listen to that still, small voice within. But most importantly, follow it. And I must say that even though it was still small, I was still following it. So I had it halfway there. Listen to that still small voice within and follow it. Because each of us is called to awaken to the Christ within us. O come, Emmanuel. O come, God, with us and within us. Within us and all around us. Opening to Spirit within is the gateway to the birthing of the Christ in us. Awakening to and expressing the Christ in you, in me, in all of us, in the one of us. My friends, that is the second coming. And it is here the day you awaken and open to it. Blessings on your journey of putting the Christ back in Christmas this season. And may you begin by opening to the presence of the Christ within you and all whom you meet. As this Christmas season unfolds, its infinite gifts of the one Spirit. We are one in the presence of and the joy of the Christ within us. And so it is.